We're jumping straight into Rivian today. Everyone's watching the price action, but the real story is the massive pivot toward the R2 mass market launch and their new AI robotics spinoff.
Exactly. You're tuned into the Easy Money Show, where we make sense of the market's biggest moves. I'm glad you're with us.
Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button so we can keep simplifying these market moves for you.
Yeah, definitely do that. Because if you've been watching the tape lately, I mean, the momentum here it's just completely explosive.
Oh, it's wild. And,
Yeah.
we really need to unpack why that's happening. So let's just set the stage for everyone listening real quick.
Right.
If you go back to February 13th, right after those earnings dropped, shares surged like nearly 20% of the pre-market.
Yeah, massive jump.
It was hovering right around 17 bucks. And I mean, that pre-market pop didn't just happen in a vacuum. It was building on this 9.5% jump during the actual trading day.
Right, and then followed by that massive 15% rally after hours, which honestly creates a pretty fascinating technical setup for anyone watching the charts.
Yeah, exactly. So what are you seeing on the chart right now?
Well, currently the stock is heavily testing this major resistance level right around that $16.96 mark.
Okay, so for anyone who doesn't just stare at stock charts all day, what does resistance actually mean in practice? Like, how does that affect the stock?
Yeah, good question. So think of resistance like a glass ceiling, right? It's a price point where historically a bunch of sellers step in and just say, okay, I've made my profit, I'm getting out.
Ah, okay. And that selling pressure pushes the price back down.
Exactly. But, and this is the key, if the momentum is actually strong enough to shatter that glass ceiling, if it breaks through and holds, it often triggers this whole wave of algorithmic buying.
Oh, wow. So the computers just take over at that point.
Pretty much. And that teases a serious breakout toward the 52-week highs, which those are sitting all the way up near $23.
Right, so it's a wildly volatile chart right now. But, I mean, this isn't just retail traders on Reddit trying to force some kind of short squeeze, right?
Oh, not at all. No, that is the crucial distinction to make here. When you actually analyze the volume spikes, like the sheer number of shares changing hands right after that earnings beat, that is heavy institutional money piling in.
Like mutual funds and pension funds, that kind of thing.
Yeah, massive asset managers. I mean, they don't buy millions of shares just because a truck looks cool on Instagram, They are looking at a fundamental shift in the underlying architecture of the whole business model.
Yeah, and I really want to dig into that fundamental shift because the 2025 financial numbers really disrupt the narrative we've been hearing lately.
We really do.
Because for the last couple of years, it feels like the entire electric vehicle sector is just, I don't know, trying to survive the winter. But the revenue growth we are seeing here paints a totally different picture.
It's definitely a bright spot.
I mean, full year revenue for 2025 hit almost $5.4 billion.
Right, which is a really solid 8% bump from 2024.
Yeah, and the fourth quarter was the real standout to me. They brought in just shy of $1.3 billion, which comfortably beat the Wall Street consensus.
Yeah, it was a solid beat.
And on top of that, their adjusted losses narrowed down to 54 cents per share when analysts were bracing for like a 68-cent loss. So they're clearly tightening up the ship.
Definitely. They're getting leaner.
But let's talk about the absolute biggest milestone here, the one that completely shifts the gravity of this whole conversation. Gross profit.
Oh, yeah. Achieving an annual gross profit. I mean, that is basically the holy grail for a young automaker. And for the first time ever, they hit a positive annual gross profit of $144 million in 2025.
Wait, let me stop you there real quick, because we should probably clarify what gross profit actually means in this context, because, I mean, it doesn't mean the whole company is suddenly swimming in cash, right?
No, definitely not. Gross profit simply means that at a pure unit economics level, the revenue you bring in from selling a product is finally greater than the raw cost of the materials and labor used to build that one specific product.
Okay, so you are no longer literally losing money every time a single vehicle rolls off the assembly line.
Exactly. But the mechanism of how they achieved that $144 million is the real story here. It wasn't just a matter of, selling a few extra trucks.
Right, it was the joint venture with Volkswagen.
Precisely. That partnership effectively offset $432 million in their core auto losses.
Which is just fascinating to me, because Volkswagen is this legacy behemoth, right? They have billions of dollars, factories all over the globe. Why do they need a relatively new player to bail them out?
Well, because Volkswagen is brilliant at bending metal at scale, right?
Right.
But they have historically struggled immensely with software.
Ah, right. The tech side.
Yeah. Legacy automakers are used to buying parts from, like, 100 different suppliers. Get the brakes from one company, the radio from another, the window motors from someone else.
Sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It is, and each of those parts comes with its own little computer called an electronic control unit. So a traditional car has 100 different computers that literally do not know how to talk to each other. It's a nightmare to update.
Oh, so you can't just send a quick over-the-air update to fix a bug because the radio computer doesn't speak the same language as the battery computer.
Exactly. But Rivian built what is known as a zonal architecture from the ground up. It's called their RAP1 software. They basically consolidated all those dozens of little chips into just a few centralized, incredibly powerful computers that control the whole car natively.
And Volkswagen just wanted that system.
Yeah, Volkswagen looked at their own failing software division, realized they couldn't fix it in time, and essentially paid to license Rivian's brain.
Man, that is a massive validation. It proves they aren't just a car company. They can actually monetize their intellectual property.
Yeah.
And I think that leads right into how they are building out their competitive moat.
Oh, absolutely. The moat is getting deep.
Because when you read through management strategy, the phrase they use constantly is end-to-end integration. Like they are deliberately refusing to outsource the critical components.
Which, by the way, is a very painful, very expensive choice to make up front.
Right, definitely. But now they are bringing battery technology, that RAP1 software, and their manufacturing, specifically at their plant in Normal, Illinois, entirely in-house.
Yeah, they're controlling the whole stack.
And the payoff they're projecting for doing all that heavy lifting is staggering. They're forecasting a 50% cut in the bill of materials costs for the upcoming R2 platform compared to the current R1.
Yeah, and that 50% cut is the entire ballgame. I mean, if you're a listener holding the stock right now, this is the metric you care about most.
Right.
A bill of materials is basically the literal receipt for every single screw, wire harness, microchip, and battery cell that goes into the vehicle. Slicing that cost in half is what allows them to aggressively price the R2 for the mass market to actually take on the heavyweights.
But, I mean, you do not get a 50% reduction just by calling up your suppliers and asking nicely for a discount.
Oh, no. No, you have to engineer the cost out of the car. You have to design a vehicle that literally requires fewer parts to put together.
Right.
And even more importantly, you need extreme automation on the factory floor to assemble it faster, with practically zero errors. Which brings us to what might be the most overlooked catalyst in this entire story, the Mind Robotics spinoff.
Oh, man, the numbers on that are wild. They just raised $500 million to this AI robotics venture, and they secured a $2 billion valuation right out of the gate.
Yep, day one.
And it's backed by major Silicon Valley heavyweights like Andreessen Horowitz and Excel.
It's a huge vote of confidence. And to really understand why those VC firms are throwing $500 million at it, you have to compare it to what the competition is doing.
Like Tesla.
Exactly. Look at Tesla. Elon Musk is incredibly focused on the Optimus program, trying to build a walking bipedal humanoid robot that can do general tasks. But Rivian is taking a totally different, highly specialized path. Mind Robotics is betting exclusively on factory AI.
Okay, so they aren't building a robot that can go grab a wrench and walk across the factory.
No, not at all. They are building the artificial intelligence that acts as the brain for the existing heavy-duty robotic arms already on the assembly line.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, we are talking about advanced computer vision systems. Imagine a robotic arm doing a weld. The Mind Robotics AI watches that weld happen in real time, down to the millimeter. If it detects a micro vibration in the arm's motor, the AI can predict that the motor is going to fail in 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. So instead of the motor breaking and the entire assembly line shutting down for a whole day while everyone panics.
Well, exactly. The AI flags it, and maintenance just swaps the motor during a scheduled shift change. The line never stops. Efficiency goes through the roof. It is all about maximizing output where the metal actually meets the road.
It sounds like they stopped trying to just build a cool boutique truck and are now building the machine that builds the machine to make it affordable for everyone.
Yeah, I know that's a famous phrase Elon Musk coined a few years ago for Tesla, but Rivian is actually executing it through a different lens.
How so?
Well, rather than just building bigger physical machines, they are using AI software to make the legacy machines infinitely smarter. They are transitioning from being a niche luxury automaker into a high-volume manufacturing technology company.
But cutting costs by 50% on a new vehicle platform is a monumental task.
Hmm?
Is that 50% number a realistic engineering target, or just a spreadsheet dream to keep investors happy?
Well, it is incredibly ambitious, I'll give you that, but the math does pencil out conceptually. Because when you move to that zonal software architecture we talked about earlier, you eliminate miles of heavy, expensive copper wiring from the car. You eliminate dozens of individual computer chips. And then you add the AI eliminating factory downtime.
Right. So the theory is sound.
Yeah, but conceptually true and historically executed are two very different things. Relying on massive, unprecedented cost-cutting measures right in the middle of a steep production ramp introduces an insane amount of execution risk.
Looking at the flip side, we have to talk about the cash burn. Because as incredible as the VW partnership is, and as futuristic as factory AI sounds, building an automotive empire from scratch is an unbelievably brutal, expensive process.
Oh, it is arguably the most capital-intensive industry on the planet. And to their credit, management is not hiding the stark reality of their balance sheet. Right now, their trailing 12-month net losses sit at a staggering $3.6 billion.
$3.6 billion in 1 year.
Yes. They generated over $5 billion in revenue during that time, sure, but it cost them an absolute fortune to do it. They are openly calling 2026 a transition year.
There's usually corporate speak for brace yourselves.
Pretty much. They're telling Wall Street, listen, we are going to lose money as we set up for the R2. They project adjusted pre-tax losses to land somewhere between $1.8 and $2.1 billion. And that doesn't even include the capital expenditures.
Right, the CapEx,
Yeah.
which is estimated to be another $2 billion.
Yeah.
For the listener, when we say CapEx, what is that actually buying? Like, what are they spending that on?
CapEx is the heavy physical stuff. It's tearing up the concrete floors in the normal Illinois plant. It's buying massive stamping presses the size of a house to shape the steel. It's paying for all the tooling needed for the new R2 design.
I need to pay for all that way in advance.
Exactly. You have to spend that $2 billion years before the first R2 ever drives off the lot and generates a single dime of revenue.
Which makes the current valuation of the stock so precarious. Right. Let's look at how the market is actually pricing them. They currently trade at a price-to-sales multiple of 4.1.
Right.
And if you look at legacy automakers, your Fords, your GMs, they are sitting way down at a 1.7 multiple. So if you're holding this stock right now, what did that multiple actually mean for you?
Think of it this way. For every dollar of cars that Ford sells, the stock market values that dollar at $1.70. But for every dollar Rivian sells, the market values it at $4.10.
That's a huge difference.
It is. When you buy in at a 4.1 multiple in the heavy manufacturing sector, you are paying a massive premium for future perfection.
Meaning the market has already basically priced in the assumption that the R2 launch will be flawless.
Completely. The stock price assumes those 50% cost reductions will magically materialize on day one, and that the Mind Robotics AI will revolutionize their margins immediately.
And if it doesn't?
Well, if there is a single delay, if a supplier misses a shipment or the software has a bug and the timeline slips, that premium multiple will collapse violently.
With a $3.6 billion loss, aren't they just burning cash too fast? They have $6.59 billion in total liquidity right now. But how long does that runway actually last if the R2 hits a snag on the assembly line?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question keeping executives up at night. Let's break down that liquidity real quick.
Okay.
Out of that roughly $6.6 billion total, about $6.1 billion is in cash and short-term investments. That is cold, hard cash on hand.
Right.
If you take their projected operating loss of around $2 billion and you add the $2 billion in CapEx for the factory upgrades, they are burning roughly $4 billion a year right now.
So that $6 billion cushion gives them, what, a year and a half? Maybe 2 years if they stretch it.
Exactly. It provides a solid runway if they execute on time, but the clock is constantly ticking. If the R2 launch gets delayed by even 6 months, that cash pile shrinks dangerously low.
And then what happens?
If they start running out of money, they have to go back to Wall Street to raise more capital, which means issuing new shares, which dilutes the value of the shares currently held by the listener.
Which is exactly why the next 30 to 90 days are so incredibly critical here. The 2026 triggers are coming up fast, and the immediate laser focus of the entire company is the Q2 2026 launch of the R2 SUV.
And they are not easing into it either. The forward guidance they have laid out is just incredibly aggressive. They are projecting 62,000 to 67,000 total vehicle deliveries across all their lines in 2026.
That is a massive 47 to 59% increase over what they did in 2025. I mean, you do not just snap your fingers and increase physical manufacturing output by 60%.
No, you don't. Scaling manufacturing is highly nonlinear. Basically, the faster you run the line, the more things break. But they are relying heavily on the new platform to hit those numbers.
Right, the R2.
Yeah, they are specifically targeting 20,000 to 25,000 R2 units just this year. They are aggressively chasing those mass market production records that legacy brands like Ford and GM have really struggled to hit with their own EVs.
And that explains why late May 2026 is circled in red on every single analyst's calendar right now. Their Q1 earnings call is going to be the major tell.
Oh, absolutely.
That is when we will finally find out if the assembly line prep is actually on track to hit that 25,000 unit target, or if the transition is hitting speed bumps.
It's the moment of truth, and honestly, you can feel the broader market momentum shifting as we approach that date. Institutional analysts are definitely noticing the setup. TD Cowen recently upgraded the stock and raised their price target to $20.
Yeah, they specifically cited the remarkably strong consumer demand outlook for the R2.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't ignore the broader macro environment either. We are seeing a real rotation back into the EV sector across the board.
Because of the rate cuts.
Yeah, the market is hoping for interest rate cuts, which is a huge deal. When borrowing costs come down, auto loans get cheaper, which acts as a massive demand lever for a mass market vehicle like the R2. Plus, we're seeing climbing oil prices, which always provides a psychological tailwind for the electric vehicle narrative.
Right, the macro stars are kind of aligning perfectly for them right now. But that brings us back to the core operational challenge.
It always comes back to operations.
If they are targeting up to 67,000 deliveries this year, what's the actual bottleneck? Are we watching consumer demand, or simply how fast the normal Illinois plant can physically push these cars out the door?
It is 100% the latter. Demand is not the issue here at all. The pre-order volume, the sentiment scoring, the analyst upgrades, they all confirm that the mass market desperately wants this vehicle at this price point.
So it's all in the factory.
Yes. The absolute bottleneck is the physics of the factory floor. It comes down to how quickly they can recalibrate the robotic arms in normal, integrate the new Mind Robotics AI into the flow without glitches, and pump out those cars without the paint chipping or the panel gaps being off.
Yeah, quality control.
Exactly. The bottleneck isn't the consumer's wallet, it is the assembly line.
Okay, so bringing it all together, the setup we are looking at is genuinely historic for the sector. On one hand, you have this technical breakout on the chart. You have a massive legacy player in VW validating their RAP1 software, and you have the Mind Robotics spinoff securing $500 million to optimize the factory.
Right, all massively bullish signals. But on the other hand, you have the undeniable crushing weight of a multi-billion-dollar cash burn and absolutely zero room for error on a make-or-break vehicle launch.
Yeah.
It is a pure race against the clock. Can their $6.6 billion liquidity cushion last long enough for the mass market scaling to actually take over? I mean, they have the capital to build the bridge, but they have to build it perfectly on the very first try.
Because there is no safety net if the R2 gets delayed.
None at all. And, evaluating all of this leaves me with one final thought to mull over, especially when you look at how the market is trying to price this company.
What's that?
Well, if Rivian's true moat is its factory AI, end-to-end software integration, and the newly funded Mind Robotics spinoff, are we making a mistake by evaluating them purely as a car company? Are they actually a software and robotics company disguised as an automaker, much like the early days of Amazon being valued merely as a bookstore?
Oh, man. That is a phenomenal question to leave off on, and it completely reframes how you have to look at that premium valuation multiple. If they are selling software and AI alongside the sheet metal, the entire ceiling changes.
It really does.
We're definitely going to keep tracking this as the Q2 launch approaches and the factory gears up. But for now, that wraps up this deep dive. We hope this gave you the ultimate lowdown on the market, unpacking the fundamental shifts happening beneath the price action. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button for more analysis. You've got the lowdown. Now go make sense of those moves. We'll see you next time.